Hi, friends. It's Mr. Rogers here. So, this week we're going to be talking about the Pre-Cambrian, and we're going to kind of jump around a little bit and make sure that we understand what was going on before we hit the big Cambrian explosion later this week and early next week. And so, yesterday you guys did a little time machine kind of overview of the Pre-Cambrian, and I kind of like asked you guys some questions, and some of those questions are hard questions, and some of those are are hard to find answers. This is not really a big studied time in Earth's history besides the beginning, because like we want to know what's happening in the beginning of the Precambrian. We really want to know like why Earth is the way it is. We really want to know how life started and what that starting looked like and how we got the eukaryotes. But besides that, there's not a lot going on. It's mostly a couple billions years of just very bland living things. There's not dinosaurs that gets everyone imagination going, or giant dragonflies, or anything. It's just single-celled organisms that paved the way for us later on in the evolutionary tale. And even though obviously they're super important because it's what comes first, sometimes there's not a lot of info out there about this. And um, it's if you know a lot about Precambrian, it's probably because you really, really, really are focused on this area as scientific research, and that's about it. There's not much else. So let's kind of jump around. I'm going to kind of jump around this PowerPoint a little bit, and if it seems I'm kind of jumpy, it's because there's a lot to cover. We either cover everything the Precambrian uh, time period, which is a couple billion years, and that could take us months, or we try to do it in a week, and so I have to jump around. So I'd rather do it in a week. It's not as exciting as some other ones like the dinosaurs, so I want to make sure we get through it. All right. Now, we created in the beginning, and I'm hoping you still have it, and you can take a look at it, a timeline of living things, or the time periods, I should say, on Earth. And so we created one that had all these different periods. We had the Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian. So Precambrian is everything that comes before about 544 million years ago. That number is not set in stone. Sometimes you see 450, sometimes you see 420, or 520, sorry, and 550. Well, I was talking about. Anyways, um, so this is not a set in stone number. Okay. Uh, as you can see, you have the age of here, what was kind of living and the big things. For here, there's really not much. It's kind of the age of single-celled organisms. And really, the beginning of the Precambrian is the formation of the Earth. And we start kind of moving along. You can see here we kind of have the oldest definite fossils and things like that about 3.8 to 3.6 billion years ago. We start keep going along here. You can see we have some idea what kind of things looked like. Okay. And some of these terms are like way out there. This is a PowerPoint one of my friends gave me that teaches at college. So these are things that we're not going to talk about. He teaches geology, but I kind of want to get the gist here. Okay. And then something we are going to talk about is snowball Earth this weekend, or this week. Snowball Earth is crucial to understanding what happened right before we started having an explosion of living things on Earth. So for us, looking at our Precambrian timeline, big things we need to know: formation of Earth 4.6. You could probably say the end of the bombardment. Sorry, we're gonna talk about that today, like the formation of the moon. One of the biggest questions in science, like how do we get the moon? And then we have here oldest remnants of life, the first fossils. All this is single-celled organisms. We kind of talked about before about like the first eukaryotes. First photosynthesis is around this time frame right here. And then we start kind of going into really closely here the first multi-celled organisms. Okay, so just another kind of picture of it here. Cool. Now you can kind of see before the Cambrian explosion, we did have some animal fossils, but it wasn't a lot, very few, and all of a sudden there was a huge explosion. All right, so really early on, I kind of want to talk about what we're kind of looking at, and we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how the Earth formed, what it kind of looked like, this early uh, period of Earth's history. But really, I want to look at how the moon got formed today. So that's our main focus. So we're going to look at that. We're going to focus on that idea, and we'll kind of circle back to some of these other things like snowball Earth and a couple other things that we need to cover later in the week. So this is a good introduction. I'm hoping that you kind of took a look at the timeline, kind of saw what we're kind of looking at this time period. In class, students are going through their presentations today. Obviously, um, maybe I'll videotape a couple and put you guys up there. So thanks, guys.